Language is something you cannot control.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing thing. The words change and the meanings change, and you cannot do a thing about it. It's literally crowdsourced.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd changed the meaning of the word woke. It was originally something good, being alert to injustice, and it still has that meaning, but I'm sorry, it became the watchword for every kind of excessive woke bullshit thing, like, let's have penises in the women's swimming pool.
Yeah.
Have penises in the women's locker.
Hey folks, gather round, because today we're diving into a topic that's lighting up the political landscape, Bill Maher's unfiltered take on woke culture. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal with the word woke? Well, to be honest, Maher isn't mincing words as he unravels this cultural phenomenon that's, left the Democratic Party entangled in controversy worth every ounce of frustration.
Quite.
Woke, I talked about this with John McWhorter on my show a couple of weeks ago. He's a brilliant linguist, and I was saying he's got a great book now about pronouns, because they're so in the news. But, woke is, I was saying, language is something you cannot control.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing thing. The words change and the meanings change, and you cannot do a thing about it. It's literally crowdsourced.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd changed the meaning of the word woke. It was originally something good, being alert to injustice, and it still has that meaning, but I'm sorry, it became the watchword for every kind of excessive woke bullshit thing, like, let's have penises in the women's swimming pool.
Yeah.
Have penises in the women's locker room.
Or let's cut off the genitalia of children.
Yes, that kind of stuff. And, it's not my fault that happened, but woke, progressive, liberal, I don't know what, I just know what I believe. And I know that, to answer your original question, is it going to go away? I don't think so. I don't think it ever goes away fully. The Democrats' big problem is, in their minds, these cultural issues that the right is, in their view, obsessed with. Sometimes, yes. Do I really care if the transgender Congress lady uses the ladies' room or men? Well, I don't give a shit where she takes a pee. Okay.
Maher is kind of fed up with how the once powerful term has spiraled into an excessive symbol of, chaotic extremes.
Coming out of that now.
We are, but we'll never be fully out of it. There will always be the people in the rear guard, just like there are people who are still wearing masks,
Yeah.
Once you start something, you get a certain amount of cult followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean, a lot of people would say right now, the Democratic Party is still in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change.
What would you like to see from the Democrats, going forward?
Much more centrism, much more get rid of the woke baggage, Old school liberal is what I usually describe myself as. But that's very often the opposite of woke. Woke would like people to believe that they're some sort of an extension of liberalism, but they're not. They're usually something that's quite opposite. Liberalism was, we should have a colorblind society and not see race at all. That's not what the woke believe.
Yeah,
they're the opposite.
Quite.
Let's put race at the front of everything.
Yep, absolutely. Oppressor and oppressed, sacred, make a sacred the oppressed. But I say it's kind of the difference between liberalism and progressivism. I don't know if you would identify ever as a progressive.
Now we're talking about words that have, when everyone hears these words, they, in their minds, have their own definition. That's the problem.
Imagine it causing rifts even among the most staunch liberals. If this whets your appetite for uncovering the madness behind these shifting political tides, wait a sec. So, let's dig deeper, shall we? Bill Maher is really coming down hard on the Democratic Party for how they've embraced this new age of wokeness. He argues it's become more baggage than benefit, dragging down a once proud liberal crusade into something unrecognizable to its foundational values. And honestly, it has many of us wondering if these shifts could render the party totally irrelevant if they don't course correct soon. Maher envisions a democratic revival rooted in centrism, where the party pulls away from extreme positions and gravitates back towards classical liberal values. Values, by the way, that once championed a colorblind society with equality in the true sense. Not this amplified focus on race or gender that the woke agenda appears to push. All right, now Bill points to education, a battlefield where the ripple effects of this so-called cultural awakening are most visible. Parents across the nation are seriously edgy over the influence schools have on their kids, especially when social issues overshadow core learning. I mean, who gets to decide what's right for children? It seems, according to many, that if you're a parent, you ought to be the one calling the shots, right? These feelings aren't without merit. Maher raises serious concerns about how topics like gender and identity are being introduced to young children in schools, kids who haven't even mastered basic math yet. It's no wonder he finds this deeply troubling and absurd, echoing the outrage of parents who feel schools are overstepping into family territory. This leads to a bigger question. Is this real progress, or just a divisive agenda disguised as progress? Maher points out how extreme wokeness veers sharply away from classic liberal values. Take gender identity in sports. He and many others argue that women's spaces should stay exclusive to women, emphasizing fairness and safety. Beyond sports, Maher warns of a wider societal shift towards progressive ideas that dangerously resemble Marxism. He links this to unrest seen in movements like BLM and Antifa, cautioning that such chaos could threaten America's stability if these ideological trends continue unchecked.
We talk about the riots and BLM stuff, but the Antifa side of it, they were communists, and we wouldn't tolerate them supporting Nazi ideology. And it's still the case today that even though we know everything we do about communism, we know well over 100 million people were killed, it's still not seen as evil.
We know it. The kids don't know it.
But that's inexcusable.
Because
it's out there, that information.
The entire educational system in this country is inexcusable. But I don't expect the kids to know it because their own teachers probably don't know it. I mean, I've seen some of the TikToks of teachers. And this is my favorite kind of information because it's direct to me. There's no filter. I'm not reading this. It's not somebody's opinion. It's some teacher who made it TikTok. And she's 28 and she's talking about, basically how she is indoctrinating kids to be, at least consider homosexuality. Come on, Johnny, you're 6 years old. It's about time you considered whether you're homosexual. Well, it's really not. We were all homosexual at 6, by the way, because I didn't like girls till I was 12. Did you?
Does that make you a homosexual?
Well,
you were sexually attracted to boys when you were 6?
I'm not attracted, but girls had cooties.
Many still do.
Many still do. They had cooties, and you couldn't admit you liked a girl.
Maher sees this as, quite frankly, a slippery slope, one that ignores history's clear lessons. The uncomfortable truth is that despite the catastrophic results of communism seen throughout history, some still feel it's maybe a path worth exploring again.
No, you hung out with boys and did boy things. Girls sucked. Girls were terrible. I had a button. I bought it at Valley Fair. It said, "I hate girls." I swear to God, they made a button.
How old?
I feel like this was 12 because there was that moment in adolescence when some of the boys are starting to defect because they're reaching puberty.
Traitors.
So traitors,
Bastards.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Traitors.
Never
you like
trusted
girls?
them. Yeah.
What?
Super gay.
Super gay. And so I mean, so when you're young, I mean, you really, it's like prison. It's just a bunch of guys, and that's all you want to be around.
Yeah. Well, I went to a women's rights march in Dublin, and there was an anti-women's rights march, or they would probably call it like a pro-trans march, but they had placards with Lenin's face on.
Oh, sure.
And so, you say that the teachers, but and I agree with you that it's teachers who are pro-communist, but I don't understand.
Well, not all of them.
Not all of them, of course. But there's many who are.
What I'm saying is many young teachers, from what I've seen, and I'm sure most teachers are great people. I'm sorry, I've seen the TikToks. There's some dumbass teachers out there. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, and the idea that they're actually teaching kids shit is frightening.
Mm-hmm. And Marx is considered...
yes, and they have dumb ideas about Israel and Gaza. Like I've seen polling, like a third of the people under 30 think it might be worth another try.
And Maher isn't on board with that gamble. In light of all this, isn't it only natural to ask, why repeat the same mistakes? His words are like a siren call, urging us to critically evaluate the direction our society is headed. Maher argues it's crucial for the Democratic Party to acknowledge these critical issues seriously. Hey, can't simply brush them off as overblown reactions from the right, because really, they're issues very real to every American parent, teacher, and socially conscious citizen, regardless of political affiliation. Without acknowledgement and course correction, they risk losing touch entirely with their base. Hugh, it's intense, right? But that's precisely why these conversations matter. Bill Maher's sentiments are shared by countless others who see woke culture as a menace to social cohesion, one that could potentially ruin the Democratic Party's future if left unchecked. And as you reflect on this polarizing yet urgent discussion, think about your personal experiences or insights as woke culture affected your viewpoint or interactions. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.